Okay, so today we'll cover part two of the presentation. Last time we have discussed about one Neumann architecture. Uh, uh, so let's go through it again. So this is one Neumann model. One Neumann presented this model right in the beginning, so almost 70 years back. And what one Neumann has presented essentially is that we have central processing unit here, then input, output, and the memory. These are the main components, and there is a important part which is control unit. Now, so basically, data flow happens in this way, data movement, right? Uh, Largely between a processor and memory and input output devices, and there is a control unit that orchestrates or that controls everything, that controls execution of program and execution of each and every instruction. It generates control signals which are shown as dashed lines, right? Last class somebody asked me a question about dashed lines. Essentially, although model does not specifically say anything about dashed and solid lines, but what I found out through digging is that this dashed line usually shows the control part. Okay, data movement or data flow that we call it, or data path, is between memory processing unit, input output unit. These are the main components of this model. This we also discussed that this model is also known as stored program computer because the program and data, the instruction and data both are stored in memory, right? And that was very unique at that point in time. And imagine 70 years back, somebody could imagine that data need not be always outside, or it shouldn't come from devices, but it can be also in the main memory. Okay, so memory is unified between instruction and data. Okay, and interpretation of whether it's an instruction or data depends on the control signals that we'll see. And now all the program and data both are in memory, which is seen by the processor as nothing but array of locations, memory locations, right? So some may contain uh, instruction. This is one Neumann machine of very simple LC3 computer, and finite state machine generates control signals, and these control signals goes to various components like this here, the ALU and registers and so on, and that causes the data to move from input to output. So the purpose of program is to manipulate on data, right? Instructions are nothing but manipulating data or movement of data from memory to CPU or registers, and from registers to CPU, and manipulation of that. That's all the program is. Now, in order to execute one instruction, these control signals are needed to first decode the instruction, then movement of data from register to ALU, and within ALU, what is to be done. All this is controlled by this FSM. All right, so these are the control, signals. Like something that is shown as empty arrow or non-solid arrow is is represent control signal. So you can see the control signals at so many places, and you can see the input output of this FSM, like this here. These are all control signals. So this is, and this is going to different parts, although not shown in this picture, but it's going to different parts of computer, right? It's going, for example, to the register file, is also going to ALU, like something this here. It's also controlling inputs that are coming to muxes. Okay, all right. So now, so this is the one that we discussed last time. Now let's see how does it really operate. Huh? So, so there are various types of instructions. Um, so basically, we can think of three types of instruction which we discussed earlier. First is operate type of instruction, like add, subtract, multiply, and so on. Second is data movement instruction between memory between memory, which is nothing but array of storage location to and from register file or registers. This is we have studied in the last class. Okay, so these are data movement instruction, largely two types: load and store. Something that is there in memory, we want to load into a particular register, that's called load, and from a register to memory, that's called store. Okay, can you could understand it? Okay, all right. And third type of instructions, control flow instruction like branch or jump that we uh, seen last time. So let's look at one instruction. Huh? So let's take high level instruction called addition. This is high level codes. Say in C, for example, A is equal to B plus C, where B plus C are variable and A is also variable. So these are okay. In assembly, we can represent this instruction as add ABC, where ABC are the operands. Okay, there are two operands, B and C, and A is where the result is to be stored. So we can call B and C is the source operands, and this is the destination. So basically contains, and these represent nothing but registers. All these three are registers. Okay, so it means register C contains the value of C. For example, let's take, we'll convert these operands into actual register numbers. B represent contents of this B, and these two are added and put into register A. Okay, so we'll look at this way. The mapping is as follows. In assembly, if we show is as ABC, actually is nothing but B is contained in register R1, C is contained in register R2, and A value of A will be in register R0. This is in LC3. Okay, LC3 there are certain number of registers, say 8 registers, where in MIPS there are large number of registers, 32 registers. So we'll not go into MIPS in the class. Earlier I have prepared this slide considering that we'll study MIPS, but I thought after preparing slides for 8 or 10 lectures, I realized that RISC is more latest and better architecture, so we'll study RISC. Okay, so but I will keep telling you about MIPS also. All right, so this is assembly language instruction. Okay, it means that assembly language instruction we can read and write code into. Okay, but computers cannot understand what R0, R1, R2, and add, etc. is, right? Because these are in mnemonics. Now this has to be converted into something which machine can understand, which is nothing but sequence of zeros and ones or numbers. Okay, so add is nothing but is called opcode or operation code, and we for various operation code we have different numbers. Okay, similarly destination register number is 000. Source operands are R1 and R2, so there are two registers, 001 and 010. Now these are unused here in this instruction. All right. So this is very simple machine called LC3. In this one, there are only 15 instructions because these are 4 bits, so 2 raised power 4, 16 maximum instructions it can have. And similarly, source and destination registers, there are 3 bits, it means it can have 8 registers. Similarly here, total. So basically 8 representation of registers we can have. So this is a very simple machine that has only 16 instructions and 8 registers. Okay, we'll not go into details as now. Now if in hex we can show this machine instruction as 1042. Just code it, right? This is 1, this is 0, this 40, this is 4, and this is 2. Okay, so actually this will be executed. All right. Format is very simple. We already discussed this. Op field is 4 bits, destination is 3, source is 3, source operand is 3, another source operand is 3. Okay, so this and these 3 are unused, so total is what, 4 plus 3, 7 plus 10, 12, 15, 16 it should be. Somewhere one bit is missing, or what? 7 plus 10 plus this makes 16, right? So we have opcode, and say for example here opcode is corresponding to add is 001. For opcode for A and D, logical AND is 101, and so on. All right. So this we have already studied, right? So instruction processing now. Next thing is that how instructions are actually processed in the computer. Okay, if you are using von Neumann model. Okay, all right. So this is the sequential steps. Okay, these are the 6 steps that are required to execute all kinds of instructions. But some steps are not needed in certain instructions. Okay, we'll discuss that. But these, if we have these, then we can say that instruction will execute. Okay. Now this is the responsibility of control unit to do these activities, right? Because control unit is responsible for complete execution of an instruction. Okay. All right. So now we have a memory, and this is where the program is. There's a machine instruction program corresponding to whatever C program you have written or Python program you have written. Always is converted, whatever high level language is converted into machine language program. All right. So this is a program. So in order to start execution, first instruction has to be brought in. That's called fetch. Fetch instruction from memory. Okay. Second is that what this instruction, for example, instruction is add A, B, C. Okay, so B and C are to be added and moved to register A. So it has to decode what this add means, and it has to corresponding generate control signals for this operation to happen. Okay, so this is to be decoded because there can be any instruction, and then it means that we'll have to look at op field from instruction and decode it. Decoding is actually making sense what is this instruction and what operations are to be done. Okay, so second is over. Third is to evaluate address. Okay, suppose we are doing load. Okay, loading a register, say R1 or R1 from a memory location. Whatever is content of memory, that has to be brought in. Okay, so this operation is called load. Evaluate address. Okay, so in order to evaluate this address or memory address, we need to do certain things. Okay, we'll look at this. Okay, so so once we have evaluated address, so for example, this particular address, then we'll have to bring it back to register, right? So we'll have to fetch operands from memory and then execute. Once operand is available, then we can do execution and then store result. So we'll see. We'll take one instruction at a time and do it, huh? All right, you are there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So we are using Little Computer 3, which is designed largely for teaching. And then once we understand the concept, then we'll move on to much complex microprocessors. Right? So this is very simple instruction set as we discussed earlier. 15 opcodes, 16-bit. It means that register size is of 16. And then addressing modes are immediate, register, PC relative, indirect, base plus offset. Please don't worry about it. We'll study this in detail. All right. Okay, the first step is to fetch. What is to be fetched? The instruction is to be fetched. If we have executed first instruction, then second instruction is to fetch. Otherwise, we'll have to fetch the first instruction. So it means that load the next instruction and the address is stored in program counter. We have seen the concept of program counter earlier. Program counter points to the next instruction to be executed. Okay, so this is the counter available in the hardware, and this, if you go back to this slide, then you will see that okay, I should not scroll back. Okay, all right. So it will take too much time. So what you can look into your presentation, right, that I have sent to you. All right. So the program counter will point to next section. So program counter contents are to go into memory address register. Okay. A memory address register is there in what? In the memory unit. Okay. And once you load memory address register, then essentially it gives the pointer to the location, memory location. So memory address register points to the location. So, and at the same time, this control signal called read signal should be given to memory. Now you can read it from the location pointed by memory address register, and then content of that memory location will be sent to memory data register. Okay, so there are, let's assume that this is the memory. Okay, in the memory unit there is two registers called, and second is called MDR, memory data register, and there is something called program counter. This program counter is in the processor, while this, all this is in memory. So program counter contents are fed to the memory address register. It will point to a particular location, for example this location. So, and then you give read signal, okay, to memory unit, and then the contents of this will be transferred to memory data register. All right. Now this is in the process of fetching an instruction. All right. So now after this point in time, there will be in this cycle nothing will happen. Okay. And at the same time, we need to increase the program counter to the point to next instruction. I will come to that later. Now let's see how it's executed. So this is the very simple machine. What is the first step? Program counter is here. Okay, this program counter content has to go to memory address register. Where is memory address register? Memory address register here. Program counter is here. Now how it contents will go? In order to do that, we'll have to give a control signal here. This is a control signal. Who will give this control signal? Once instruction. So this is a responsibility of FSM. Okay, so it will give control signal here. It will enable this gate. It means that program counter's content will go to the bus. It will come here, and finally it will come to this memory address register. Now memory address register again has a control signal here. Once this control signal is enabled, whatever is coming to the data bus will be transferred here. Okay, so this step is shown here. Okay, all right. So load memory address register, increment PC. Second is that access memory. Accessing memory means what? It means that contents of this will go to memory data register. Okay, that's all. Okay, and from there instruction will go to instruction register. All right, so these are the steps. So we have fetched the instruction here, okay, to instruction register. So this is step number 1. Any question? Okay, now this is step number 1. It means the instruction is available. So instruction is available in instruction register, which is part of the control unit. Okay, all right. So what is the next step? Next step is that once we got the instruction, then we have to decode it. In order to decode it, we have to look at the instruction and few bits right in the beginning, which corresponds to opcode. Okay, so we have in LC3, we have only 4 bits corresponding to instruction opcode. It means that what this instruction is supposed to do. Okay. And then output of this, of course, is 16 bits, 16 lines, which will generate various combination of signals, control signals. Okay. Now, depending on the opcode, whether it's add, subtract, logical AND, or whatever, the operands from, we have to identify operands from remaining bits. Okay. It means the instruction we have seen, suppose this is add. Okay. Then what is the semantics of the remaining bits? So it will have RD, destination registers, then the source register, SR1 and SR2. Okay, and there will be some unused bits. So essentially meaningful are these ones, right? So now it has to make sense what are the remaining ones. So instead of add, for example, had we had say jump instruction, then semantics of remaining bits is very different. Okay, so let's move on. So now this instruction is to be decoded. In order to decode it, we'll have to look at only first 4 bits of instruction, which is in instruction register here. Okay, so we'll have to look at only 4 bits here, and then these 4 bits go to FSM, finite state machine. Okay, finite state machine will interpret these 4 bits and generate various control signals corresponding to opcode. Okay, all right. Any question?
Sir, I had a question.
Yes.
So since this bus is shared by many components, so how do our like one instruction go specifically to say memory address register? Like how does it recognize that this is for me?
Okay, basically there is a control signal here. So output will go everywhere, right? The output from bus will go to whoever is taking it, but it's responsibility of this FSM to just a minute. It's a responsibility of FSM to give this control signal here in the memory address register. Okay, so it means the data will only go here in this part. This part there is suppose there are other output is going to some other places. For example, here there won't be, this signal will not be enabled. All right.
Okay, sir.
The responsibility of FSM here is to generate control signal in different parts such that and these control signals correspond to the opcode. Okay, so only relevant components will be enabled. All right, so let's move ahead. Okay, so once we have decoded, and if the instruction is of type say load and store, okay, loading means that bring the data from memory to register, or storing is data which is already available in register, move it to memory. Only in those instructions this phase is required. Okay, this phase is required in memory access, which requires memory access. So this will not require in case we have instruction like add. Okay, add R1, R2, R3. So this is already available. This data is already available from previous memory accesses. So in this case, this step is not required. Okay, this step is required only for load and store, and we have to evaluate address of the memory location where this data is to be fetched. Okay, for example, there is a data here, then this address we have to calculate. How will calculate this part of the instruction? It says load into register, say some register number. This is a destination register. Something that is in the address which is given by this register. So in this register there is some value, say some value, say let's assume 0100, and then I'm putting some offset to this, which is addition of this. So 0102 is the address, is the final address, right? From which I have to get the data. All right. So this is how. So this calculation of looking at register and adding to that register offset is done, and calculating the final address of the place memory location from where we have to fetch the data is done in this step. Okay, so let's look at how this is done. Okay, please feel free to ask me in case there is a confusion. Okay, are you there? Okay, I could hear some. So maybe one of you should keep the mic on so I will get some feedback or noise. Okay, so next step is, so the previous step that we studied is that evaluate address. How are we going to evaluate it? The first thing is that we'll have to look at the offset in the instruction. Okay, these offset bits are there in the instruction, and then we'll have to look at base register, or some register is mentioned in the instruction. So we'll have to take the value out of register. This is register file. Okay, this is all register file. We'll have to take the value of register, add to this one. So we have to evaluate address, and from where we have to fetch now the operand, right? So we have already calculated the address here in the previous one slide, and then we have to get the operand from that particular location. All right. So in order to do that, in order to calculate the address, we'll have to add the offset value, which is here, from the register value here, and then output has to go to in this bus. So that's the responsibility of this step. The next step is that from that address, fetch the operand. And this is what we are doing only for load and store. Okay. So, okay. Okay. So in order to get the operand, we'll have to load memory address register with the address calculated in the evaluate address, and from do the read from memory. Okay. So this how we are. So it's like this. So now whatever we have calculated here as summation of output of this and instruction on this one, this step is not shown here. So output of our effective address goes here, and then we have to again from memory address register, it goes to memory address register, and then corresponding data will go to MDR. So it's like this. From bus, come to MAR and come to MDR. Okay. And then final next step is execute. Now, at this point in time, operand is available. In case of add instruction, operand is already available in register. Okay, so now we have to do execution. Let's take, for example, add instruction. In add instruction, both data items are available in register 1 and register 2. These are to be added, and result will finally go to a register. Okay, so it will be something like this. These two registers are shown here. They will be outputted, and addition will happen. And the next step is not shown here, which is essentially the output will go back to register file in the next step. Okay, which is in the stored register. Okay, so now remember that we were doing load and store, right? So load, what we are doing, load, we are loading from memory location, some memory location to a register. Okay, so what we had seen in earlier step is that we have data available up to MAR. Sorry, MDR. MDR contains the data. From now in this step, MDR to particular register data will move. So it's very simple, right? So we'll look at this. So this data is available here that will go to a register file. Okay, so this completes the execution of instruction. Is now, of course, I mean, we have not shown in the diagram all possible steps, right? What I wanted to show you is the role of control unit in generating control signals such that data movement happens from memory to register, or register to CPU or ALU. All right. Is it okay? Are you with me? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, so far we have seen we are executing one after the other, all the instructions, and there are some instructions which are called control instructions. If you're in program, if you get control instruction, okay, say jump to a particular location, for example, then program counter value has to change, because program counter normally shows an X instruction and it assumes that program is written sequentially, right? And most of the time program executes sequentially. So if we have, for example, loops, for example, while do loop or if then else, or some function call, then control, then the next instruction to be executed will be corresponding to that location or new function, or if in case of if then else, some else part, for example, is executed, then control will go somewhere, right? So the PC in that case or program counter value has to change. Okay, we look at that. Okay, all right. So how will you execute that? First thing is that we'll have to change the value of program counter. Okay, and then, okay, all right. So let's look at this. So let's take, for example, unconditional jump. It means that just jump. Whatever happens, you jump to a particular location. Okay, so okay, the instruction format is as follows. This corresponds to jump. This R2 corresponds to a base register. Okay, so it means that whatever be the content of this base register, take that value, and then that's the jump location. Okay, so basically take the value specified by this register and load that into program counter. Now program counter will now point to a location pointed out by this base register. All right, so this is how it's shown here. Okay, now program counter is already modified here. Okay, and I'm sorry. So this step is that we'll have to just change the value of program counter to corresponding to next instruction, which that is to be fetched from memory, right? And all this will require movement of data using these control signals. Okay. I have not shown here how data actually moves, but we can simply interpret it. All right, this is the control of instruction cycle. In general, essentially, this shows a state machine for the control unit, right? The first is that program counter goes to memory address register. Memory address register will point to memory location. From there, data will go to memory data register, and from memory data register, it will go to instruction register. Now, at this point in time, instruction is fetched. This is nothing but instruction fetching. It's fetching, okay. Okay. Now instruction is available, then control unit will decode it, whether it's add, load, jump, or whatever. Okay, and correspondingly, then it will get the operands and do the operations. All right, so this kind of complete state machine we can create for different instructions. Okay, all right. So these are the steps. Okay, now to summarize. Okay, so basically in this very simple machine, which is LC3, we have only three type of instruction, which is add, and which is computational instruction, which is like add, subtract, addition, logical and etc. Or data movement instruction like load and store. or control instructions like jump or branch. And then this machine has, or one Neumann machine has 6 steps: fetch, decode, evaluate address, operand, then operation, operand is to fetch, and then execute, and finally store. Okay. And then one thing also we have discussed, that not all phases are needed at each instruction. Like add will require only certain number of steps, right? Wherein load and store will require some other steps, not all 6 steps, right? But in general, these 6 steps defines how all instructions can be executed. All right. To summarize, we have studied types of instructions, how instructions are processed, and then we have seen how instruction process step by step. Okay, we have also seen the data path components. Okay, all right. Data path in general consists of all components that actually process information during each clock cycle. Okay, it's like functional unit, ALU. ALU will do what? It will operate on data. Okay, registers will contain the data before operation is performed, and also maybe after the operation is performed. Or it may get the value from memory, some value from memory, and it will be stored in the register, right? And then buses and wires carry the data. Okay, and at the same time we also use program counter, memory address, and muxes. All these become part of data path. Okay, how data really moves around, right? And then we have control signal, like we have seen something with empty arrow generated by FSM, right? So finite state machine will generate these control signals, and these are actually responsible for execution of instruction fall on a data path. Okay, all right. To summarize one Neumann architecture, this architecture was proposed in 1946 by von Neumann. It consists of 5 parts that we have seen: memory, a processing unit, input unit, output unit, and control unit. Program and data, program, computer program, and plus data is written here. Both are in the memory. That's the reason it's called stored program architecture. Okay. All right. So 6 phases of that we have already studied is fetch, decode, evaluate address, fetch operand, execute, and store results. All right. Okay. So its terminology we have already studied. We have memory address register, which contains the address of the memory to be fetched. Memory data register, output of the memory goes to memory data register. Then arithmetic logic unit, then word. Of course, I mean we can define word as or word length, etc. We have already studied that, and then number of registers. All right, that's all about this class. A short class. I'm sorry about this disturbance. I think I will take one more internet connection. I think there is some problem in Airtel. Okay, any question?
Yes, sir. Could you please give an example where jump without condition is implemented?
You can always write a program. For example, power goes off.
Okay.
Okay, or power becomes low, or some emergency condition comes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then there is a sensor which will sense, and then it will execute that. It it will point to, or that instruction will be executed. All right. So you can always write a program that will require jump to something, right? For example, okay, when we are reading the scope of a routine or subroutine, even in C program, you can give go to statement, right?
Right. Yeah.
So this is go to statement is not conditional statement. It's a kind of unconditional jump.
Okay. Yeah. Even continue can be even jump without condition, I guess.
Continue. I don't know.
Maybe
See,
that depends upon the implementation.
yeah. So we'll look at it. How we'll actually what we'll do is that we'll look at higher level language constructs and convert them into assembly language program.
All right, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other question? Srinivas, are you there? All right. So today, what we have basically looked at is that how a program, how a computer can be implemented. Okay. Essentially, how is execution of an operation happens. Execution of an instruction happens. I'm sorry. And then we have seen very simple state machine and corresponding implementation of a very simple computer called LC3. Okay. Because sequential logic, if you design a system, you need to design FSM.